Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services General Meeting, regular scheduled meeting for April 18th, 2016. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Asatrian, absent. Fuad?
Here.
Kafayan?
Here.
Michaels?
Here.
President Wu.
Present.
The agenda for the April 18, 2016 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, April 15, 2016. Item 2, upcoming council agenda items.
Yes, President Wu, on next Tuesday, April 26th, we have an agenda item requesting approval to issue a request for proposal for design build of a small restroom facility at Wilson Mini Park, and with a companion resolution of appropriation to appropriate $265,000 in development impact fee funds. And then we also have an agenda item requesting approval to reject bids received and to authorize staff to negotiate with bidders for the Civic Auditorium exterior improvements. Then on Tuesday, May 3rd, we have a proclamation declaring May as Older Americans Month. And we have a number of workforce development related agenda items. One is a motion to approve the submission of the Verdugo Workforce Development Board recertification to the state of California. Then we have a resolution to approve amended joint powers agreement and bylaws, again related to the Workforce Development Board. Then we have a motion to approve memorandums of understandings between the Workforce Development Board with its required partners. And then we have a motion to approve an award of $101,000 in Los Angeles County Community and Senior Services funds to the Glendale Youth Alliance. And then lastly, a motion to approve the acceptance of grant funds from the LA County Probation Department to be awarded to the Glendale Youth Alliance, the amount of $50,000. And as of this date, those are the only agenda items we have for the next 3 or 4 weeks. President Wu.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, introductions and presentations at annual volunteer recognition.
President Wu, members of the Commission, our department has over 30 volunteers that help with our programs, and volunteers work a number of programs such as senior meals, the senior programs, sports, community centers, special events, day camps, CDBG trails and open space, and also homeless services. The total number of volunteers for reporting period between March 1, 2015 to February 28, 2016 were 9,629 hours. Since last week was National Volunteer Week, we would like to recognize and thank all of our volunteers that have worked a minimum of 50 hours or have made a commitment to one of our CSP projects during the reporting time. I would like to invite Patty Betancourt, who's our volunteer coordinator. She processes volunteers and keeps tracks of their hours and also promotes the volunteer program. And I would like to invite each program supervisor that supervises these volunteers to pass out a certificate of appreciation. So with that being said, I'd like to invite Maggie Kavarian, who's the senior programs, senior meals supervisor. She supervises Spar Heights Community Center and the senior nutritional meals program.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, President Wu. I'm going to go ahead and get started because we've got a very big group of volunteers that help out with the senior nutrition program and at Spar Heights Community Center. I'm going to start out with Nicholas Gonzalez. Nick works 7 days a week, rain or shine. He is an excellent volunteer. Carol Tanner. Carol works in our senior nutritional meals program at the Adult Recreation Center. Margie Aruski, she also works at the Adult Recreation Center at the Senior Nutritional Meals Program and helps us with our admin support. Olga Guevara. She is a staple at our Pacific Park Community Center, and this year she was the one who accepted our proclamation for March for Meals campaign. Next, we have Irma Olson. She is our Spar Heights Decorating Committee, Birthday Committee, Nutrition Committee. She does it all. So Irma Olson, and she was also our last year's LA County Older Americans Month Volunteer of the Year. We have Amy Den. Amy also volunteers at our Spar Heights Community Center and our Senior Nutrition Program. Terry Ballman is also here with us. She's also a volunteer with our Senior Nutrition Program at the Adult Recreation Center. We also have a few volunteers who are new and are near and dear to our hearts, and I want to recognize them. Anita Preisler. She's our volunteer who's she's kind of our social committee, ARC volunteer. She bonds with the seniors, she converses with them, and she's also a Red Cross volunteer. So we also have Christina Canella. She's also someone who helps us out with our Adult Recreation Center meals program. So I'd like to recognize her. Anita Biaco, she's also our ARC Senior Nutritional Meals Program volunteer. So I'd like to recognize her. And then we have a few missing volunteers, but I do want to recognize one volunteer in particular. She's a 97-year-old volunteer. She's been with us for 25 years. Her name is Rosemary Roverino, and she couldn't be here, but I wanted to recognize her.
Thank you. Next up is Gabrielle Golia. She's the community service supervisor that oversees the sports section.
Good afternoon, President Wu and members of the Commission. I am here today to thank and recognize Mr. Dick Jover. He is our Masters soccer volunteer. He helped to create and runs the Masters soccer program at the Glendale Sports Complex, and he has dedicated well over 500 hours in this past reporting period to running a soccer program. So thank you.
Next up is Mark Sturtevant, who oversees the Open Trails and Space Program.
President Wu, thank you. Members of the Commission, I'm Mark Sturtevant, Senior Administrative Analyst for Community Services and Parks, and one of my responsibilities is the oversight of our Trails and Open Space program. Trails and Open Space is made up of several different components, and for those of you who have served on the Commission for a while, you may remember in times past we have recognized our volunteer tree waterers and tree planters, sometimes known as the Duke-Magian Dirt Dogs. We've also recognized our volunteer Trail Safety Patrol and our volunteer trail maintenance crew. So this year I'm pleased to recognize a group of unsung heroes who do a fabulous job for us both up at Duke-Magian and at the Glendale Narrows Riverwalk. They are the members of our invasive species removal team. And these folks do some of the real heavy lifting for us, particularly at Duke-Magian, where very often they will be hiking deep into the park to remove those nasty invasive species that we do not want to have crowding out our nice native plants. These are species such as tree tobacco, tamarisk, Spanish broom, and the evil castor bean. Some of these species get pretty large and they get pretty widespread, so there's a significant amount of work that these folks do. And while I have several folks to recognize, the three that are here from the invasive species team are John Pearson, Ron Hoffman, and Steve Horn. If they would come up. We also have a subset of the invasive species removal team. This is a group of women we refer to as the iris gardeners, largely because one of their favorite tasks is to weed the iris beds at Duke Magian. They also help us out at Riverwalk, where they spend countless hours going up and down the LA River and pulling weeds from alongside the riverbed. We actually don't know why they like to do this. We're just happy that they do. And I thought we were, I had at least one of the members of that group here. So let me, is Roberta here? No, apparently Roberta Medford could not make it, but she and Lissy Zeising and Ann McNeil are members of our iris gardeners, and we very much appreciate them. In addition to John and Ron and Steve, the other members of the invasives team that could not make it today include Dan Klaus, Tom Brady, and Stephanie Connon. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Yvette Samuelian and Arsene Isayan, both homeless program supervisor and coordinator, to come up and give a certificate to their volunteers.
Good afternoon, President Wu, members of the Commission. Yvette couldn't be here today, but I will be presenting on her behalf. We have two very special people we wanted to present today, two volunteers that helped us in the planning and the execution of the 2016 Glendale homeless count. The first person I would like to recognize is Commissioner Mr. Grant Michaels. Thank you for your commitment.
Thank you.
And the second volunteer I would like to recognize is Chris Wildham. I'm sorry, apologize if I mispronounced that. Chris not only volunteered his time during the homeless count, but he also donated over 100 blankets for our homeless clients here in Glendale that the staff was able to hand out on the day of the event. So Chris, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's it for us.
Thank you. Next, Julianne Leviant. She's the Community Service Supervisor that oversees senior programs and the Adult Recreation Center.
Good afternoon. I'm Julianne Leviant. I'm the supervisor for this. Of course, I am City of Glendale. Sorry, I got nervous. It's been a while since I've been up at the Adult Recreation Center. President Wu, commissioners, I'd like to present two very special volunteers. One basically watches the billiards room all day, and it may sound boring, but with 80 to 100 people coming in and out from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., it's really important that we have some sort of, togetherness there, and I think our volunteers help bring that. So, Radavus and Yarvan, can you please come up?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, that one's yours. Here, you can have this one. You want two of them? Okay. So I'll need to come back more often so I can get a little more acclimated. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our last program, I'd like to invite Norma Maurer, who's the Community Service Supervisor. She oversees youth and family services, the case management, and One Glendale. So, Norma?
Good afternoon, President Wu, members of the Commission, and department staff. My name is Norma Maurer, and I have Jackie Balaton here with me. She's our Recreation Program Specialist who oversees directly working with the volunteer program at Pacific Community Center. All three of the volunteers have done a variety of different activities to help out within the facility, primarily helping to keep the facility clean and maintained. They assist at the special events that we have throughout the year. One of the special events that they help out at is the extravaganza that takes place every year, the Teen Night Out on Fridays. They assist with setup and cleanup. They also help with at the Verdugo Mountains 10K. They've helped with day camps during the summer and during the seasons when we have winter break and spring break. And they also help with youth outreach. So they're very, very important to have them with us every year. So we look forward to giving them an award. So the first one is for Nairi Hagazarian. Next one is for Pablo Martinez. And lastly is Daniel Ramirez. And they were the ones that could show up today because they get out of school a little late to be able to attend the commission meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Once again, on behalf of City of Glendale Community Services and Parks, we'd like to thank all of our volunteers that work in a variety of our programs. And hopefully you guys will continue your volunteer service. And we'll see you next year at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to just piggyback off of what was said. I would like to personally thank all the volunteers. I know you take time out of your personal time to serve the community and the city that we so much love, and you guys are the true testament as to how the community gives back and we make us that much stronger, and you truly are the jewels of our city. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Next item, please.
Next item is 3B, recognition of Gail Cole from Lower School of Chandler for raising awareness on the issue of homelessness.
Hello again.
We are back. You ready? President Wu, members of the Commission, we have a very special presentation. I would like to recognize Ms. Gail Cole, Director of Lowell School of Chandler in Pasadena. Ms. Gail organized a big service day for the school students to raise awareness on the issue of homelessness. And these kids put together hygiene kits, sandwiches, blankets, and they also signed a poster at the City of Glendale thanking us for raising the awareness on the issue of homelessness. For the 2016 homeless count. Over 100 kids signed this poster, and Ms. Gail wanted to present this to the City of Glendale along with Mr. Waldham. And I'm going to go ahead and let Ms. Gail speak and present the banner. Thank you.
Thank you for having us here today. Chandler School is located near the Rose Bowl, but we draw students and families from all over, and we have a great number of our families come from Glendale. Wonderful families who want their children to be raised not just with strong academics, but with strong character and citizenship. And our K-8 students have spent the last 2 years especially focusing on learning about issues of poverty, hunger, and homelessness. And for the last 2 years, they've participated in Big Service Day. And Chris Waldheim and his family have been very, very helpful in getting our kids motivated as they brought in contributions for the toiletry kits, the blankets, the sandwiches, but also learning about the issues and learning about how organizations around our city and community mobilize to understand how families go through these crises and how we mobilize to help and support them through it, through education and tools for employment, for immediate needs such as money and food. And so we help our children learn how it's a group and community effort, and we all must be there for one another. And so we thank communities like Glendale for the work that you do to make sure that people living in poverty and in hunger and homelessness are not forgotten, and that they get the opportunities to get back on their feet so they can contribute as well. So thank you very much. We appreciate your efforts, and we're so glad to be a part of them.
Thank you.
This is the poster from our students, so we'll leave this with you. Many, many thanks.
Thank you very much.
We just wanted to recognize Ms. Gale. We do have a certificate for her, but we'll be presenting it to you at a later time. We have to make some changes on the certificate, but we wanted to thank Ms. Gale and thank Chris for their efforts in raising awareness on the issue of homelessness. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yes, absolutely.
Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is Commission staff comments.
Any comments from the staff?
Yes, President Wu, Commissioners, if Commission doesn't have any comments, I'd like to add one. Just want to let the Commission know that the City of Glendale will not be participating in the 2017 Rose Parade this year. We did present a report to City Council in March, and the Council decided that at this time the city would not be participating in the parade given the $200,000 budget requirement that the Tournament of Roses had posed on the participation this year. So if you just wanted to announce that.
Any other comments?
Well, since Chris Waldheim is still in the room, I would like to express my personal thanks. I see him and his name in many different organizations throughout the city and the Crescenta Valley. I appreciate all of your efforts.
I echo that as well. I have seen Chris at many organizations and many events, and he's always willing to roll up his sleeve and do all the heavy lifting and get his hands dirty, so I appreciate that very much. I would like to also say that if there's no other comments, there was an exhibit that was open at the Brand Library. Did you want me to answer? Oh. And I would like to say that that was a great turnout when we had the grand opening this past Saturday. It was very informative, it was very touching, and I think it was very moving. And I, not being of Armenian descent, didn't really know the effect. But after gone through that and after seeing the people that were there and the type of turnout that it generated, it's a true testament of how united that society is and how our community is. And I think that it would be great if we had all our citizens and residents of Glendale have an opportunity to visit that, because it's here locally. It's only here until, I believe, middle of June. So it's at the Brand Library. It's a great exhibit. I would really love for you guys to go and check it out.
And President Wu, members of the Commission, we do have a few upcoming events between now and our next Commission meeting that I'd like to announce at this time.
Sure.
We have every Friday, actually, we have a tea night out from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Pacific Community Center. On April 23rd, we're going to have a medicinal plants of the West from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Dugmajan Wilderness Park. On April 29th, we're offering Parents' Night Out at Spar Heights Community Center from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. On May 1st is the Verdugo Mountains 10K Trail Run and Hike starting at 8 a.m. Registration and packet pickup is at 6 a.m., between 6 a.m. and 7:45 a.m. And that's at, I'm sorry, that's not at Dugmajan Wilderness Park, that's at Brand Park. May 6th, we are offering another Parents' Night Out from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. at Pacific Community Center. On May 7th, we have an event called Lend a Hand at Brand. It's part 2. It's basically trail work day on the Brand Park lateral. And that's starting at 8 a.m. through 12 p.m. at Brand Park. On May 7th, we also have a River Walk work day from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Glendale Narrows River Walk. On May 12th is Glendale Dodger Night. It's Dodgers versus Mets, starting at 7:10 p.m. at Dodger Stadium. On May 13th, we have Friday the 13th Twilight Hike from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Dugmajan Wilderness Park. On May 16th is the Glendale Youth Alliance Charity Golf Tournament, starting at 9 a.m. at La Cañada Flintridge Country Club. And on May 16th, we also have the next Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission meeting at 2:30 p.m. here at the City Council chambers. For more information, the public can call 818-548-2000 or visit www.glendalega.gov/residents/calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Next item, please.
Next item is 5, oral communications. I don't have any cards. At 6, we have consent items. A, approval of the minutes of the Commission regular meeting held on March 21st, 2016.
We have a motion to...
I will move it.
I'll second.
Commissioner Sasatrian is absent. Fuad?
Yes.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
Wu?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7, reports information only at A, Brand Park update.
As President Wu, we wanted to take this opportunity to provide a follow-up and an update on all of the activities currently taking place at Brand Park. Obviously, Brand Park is one of our signature parks. It's a big park, requires a lot of maintenance, and I think at this time we are doing quite a bit. There's always more to address, but at this time, I wanted to have Mr. Panosian give the Commission an update on all of our current activities at the park.
Thank you, Mr. Duran. Good afternoon, President Wu, members of the Commission. As Mr. Duran indicated, we'd like to highlight some of the improvements we've been conducting over at Brand Park. This is a multi-month project that has been ongoing, and some of these you may have seen if you visited the facility, but we wanted to group them into one to show the Commission some of the improvements we've been making at the Brand Park itself, as well as the outlying areas, the trails, as well as the cemetery area. I will try to go through these very fast because there are a lot of photos, and these are only highlights. There were several other smaller scale projects that we are not including as part of this presentation. One of the areas, if you recall, in the Brand Library parking area, the upper parking, there is a lot of ivy in every single planter bed. What we did with this project is identify those ivy as very water-thirsty plant, and in some cases, people trampling and walking all over it, they're damaging it. We figured the best thing to do at these facilities is remove all of the ivy from the entire parking area and replace them with drought-tolerant landscaping. As such, the project started with first removing of all the existing ivy. This is right across the tea house at the driveway, the Western Avenue entrance. It was quite a bit of work. You will see just the brief highlights of some of the areas that were done. This area is an existing ladder step area that was from the parking lot onto the trails behind the American Green Cross. What we've done is after we removed the ivy, as you know, we've put some jute netting and we've planted. This is area that people had made their own little walkways, so staff figured why not give them steps. So we created steps in this area so they have two areas they can actually use the steps and not trample over the live planting. And after done, the entire area was jute netting to hold the dirt in place, and we replaced it with manzanita and ceanothus, I believe is the pronunciation. These are ground covers that will actually expand and cover the entire area, and they're drought resistant. Once established, we don't have to water them at the frequencies we have to water the ivy. These are the plants in the planter beds, and of course, every time we complete a project, we mulch it. Not only does it clean it up, and you don't even allow any dirt or rodents living in the ivy, which is an area they love to thrive. More areas of the parking lot with the planter beds. This is also off of Mountain Avenue, the perimeter, just outside of Brand Park. We did the same project, removed all the ivy. We very sparingly planted and then used mulch to cover the remaining areas. We worked with a group of very volunteer residents at the area. They came to us and they wanted to replace, this was the planter right at the entrance at the library at the top of the hill. They came with some ideas about replanting this planter, and they had a great design. We worked with Stephen Landrigan and Mr. and Mrs. Weber and Paul Roche from the Glendale Historic Society. They came up with the idea. We worked together, and here's the outcome. A very nicely designed planter. And eventually these are going to be growing in, and it's going to provide a very beautiful landscape to the planter, which is more suitable for this area. We agreed, and we appreciate their help in moving forward in this project. Around the Doctor's Tea House, you see here are two redwood trees. They are in severe stress. As you see, the one on the far right is in worse condition than the one on the left. What we decided to do was make an attempt, a serious attempt to try and resuscitate these trees. This is drought related. We use at Brand Park, given that it is recycled water, there's a lot of salts in recycled reclaimed water. And that, along with the drought, is not really helping. So what we've done is, as you note, we've built a berm around both of these trees, and we're going to bring in fresh water monthly and flood it and give it several months and see if we see any improvement. At this stage, they may both still be recoverable. So we're going to make our best attempt to recover these two trees, especially the area that they're in front of the doctor's house. They're very unique. So we'll give it our best shot and see what we can do. And here's what the berm will look like. It's about a 6 feet diameter radius, 6 feet radius, I think, 12 feet diameter of a berm. And our colleagues in facilities, public works, forestry, I should say, they're going to help us with watering this. They have a water truck, and we're going to bring in fresh potable water to water these trees in hopes of being able to resuscitate them. We also planted 20 eastern redbud trees around the tea house, the Japanese tea house. It's very suitable for the location, and the landscape now, you'll start seeing them within the next 2 years. They will be blooming right after the winter, right before spring, and it's going to look very beautiful. And also at the tea house, the pond, there's been a lot of work going into the pond. The water is a lot clearer than it has been. Staff has been putting in quite a bit of an effort. This is our resident duck, I believe, and I think Chris had named it Steve for some reason. That's his friend. And as you can see clearly through the pond now as it is clear, and the fish are thriving. We had a resident who donated several koi for us, large-sized koi, as they couldn't take care of them. We do appreciate the donation. I'm working with Chris and getting them a letter of appreciation for the donation. We have now increased the number of koi in our pond. Over on the trails, there's a lot of work being done on the trails, and this is a multifaceted approach. We have our colleagues in Public Works helping us out with some of the heavy lifting. As you can see, this large bulldozer that we have removing some of the slides from the past rains. They're helping us out, clearing the pathway, assisting us with prepping the trails for the Verdugo 10K run. As Mark Sturtevant highlighted earlier, the Land the Hand at Brand Part 1 that took place March 26th. There were 5 volunteers that came out. Quite a bit of the folks were experts from the Duke-Majan crew in building and resuscitating the trails there. With one of our friends, volunteers from the Brand Park, Mr. Weber, joined them. They put in several hours. They did quite a bit of work here. And as you noted earlier in the calendar, the next one is scheduled for Saturday, May 7th, 8 a.m. till noon, and we invite all parties interested in volunteering to get the brand trails repaired to join us and assist in this effort. They did quite a bit of work. Even though they were few, they were strong. And this was a family, a father and daughter, hiking the trails. As we were there this morning, we recognized that some of the posts had been down, so along with our weekend supervisor, Armin, we decided to prop those couple of the posts up in the entrance to the trails. Now, we didn't have the concrete to patch it in and pour it in, but we put them deep enough they should hold up, and directed the staff to look at these, and working with Mark Sturtevant to see if there is a Boy Scout, a troop that would like to do a project up here, and getting most of these posts along the way up the trail, set back up in more secure condition. From over the years, the wood is starting to rot, so there'll be a little bit of work to be done to get those back in shape. We also hired a contractor to do a lot of the dead trees, remove all the dead trees along the trail, areas that people were walking and the trees were of hazard. There were probably about 8 trees removed. This is just behind the Brand Park maintenance yard along the trail, the lateral. There were some very large trees that were removed. These are the eucalyptus trees also along the trail. These were scheduled for removal as well, but we found a very live nest with 5 eggs inside, and by law we're not able to touch it until the nesting season is done. So we'll probably wait till summertime and keep a close eye out and make sure once the birds are, the nesting is finished and they are gone, is when we'll start looking at removing these trees. We also did some work at the Brand Cemetery. The Brand Cemetery, if you're not familiar, is north of Brand Park through the trails, the motorway, and it's off to the side. We do not get up there with our crews on a regular basis to maintain. And over the years, what we have is weeds that actually build up to your knees. We had a request to go in and clean it up. This, I do not have pictures of the weeds, knee-high weeds at the area, but I will show you the job afterwards. We had a tree that naturally came down. It was a dead tree at the perimeter. There's about 4 more trees that are slated for removal, probably be done by the end of next week. This was the tree. We removed the one that was already fallen and chopped it off to the side. We have a lot of firewood if anybody's interested. And this is the cemetery after we knocked the weeds down. We worked closely with GYA. They got a crew out there. Within about a half a day, they knocked all the weeds down and cleaned the cemetery and at the perimeter of the cemetery outside the fence. And once we had them clean it all out, we hired a contractor to come in and blow in the mulch. As you can imagine, Brand Cemetery with the steps, it's elevated. It is a lot more difficult to get the mulch laid in place. So with the company we hired to blow in the 5-bar at our playgrounds, we hired them to do the mulch at this location. They did a tremendous job. This is the final outcome with the weeds gone and the cemetery, the mulch blown in. It looks very clean, very thorough, and the trees are scheduled to be removed within the next week. These are the trees that we still have to remove, 1 behind and 3 in the front, dead trees. Jess will touch on the signs and lighting in his presentation as he updates you on CIP, but there's also some major projects going on. As you may imagine, the signs project, the installation of the signs at the Brand Park has been completed. These are some of the signs that I took pictures of. This is our new design and approved standard of signs that we'll probably start applying at our different facilities. And as far as the lighting goes, Jess will update you on the CIP project for lighting. We have several versions of lights and light poles. And I believe Commissioner Fouad had asked about the lights in the past. We wanted to show you the differences that we have. There's about 4 or 5 different standards, light standards, and the idea going forth would be light the entire facility and with more standardized LED efficient lighting that will, good ambient lighting for the security of the facility. This concludes our Brand Park presentation. Like I said, there were a lot of small-scale projects we didn't incorporate here, but if you have any questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer them for you.
Great. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is 7B, DIF Strategic Plan Update.
President Wu, members of the Commission, just wanted to provide an update. If you recall, on February 22nd, we presented a DIF Strategic Plan Draft Number 2 to this Commission, and we mentioned that we were going to be going to City Council on March 29th. So on March 29th, we presented a similar plan to City Council. All of the projects that were presented were similar to what was presented to the Commission. The dollar amounts on a few projects might have been different based on further staff analysis of the project cost. But the City Council unanimously approved a strategic plan which included plans for $16 million of development impact fees, which again is an attachment, an exhibit to this report, the final plan. The only project that the City Council did not approve was a soccer field at Verdugo Park. So we have a strategic plan that we will take to City Council back during the budget process and request that Council appropriate the funds to these projects. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address, but just wanted to provide an update to the Commissioners regarding Council's direction.
Can you update us about why they didn't accept Verdugo Park soccer field?
From majority of the council did not feel that a soccer field at Verdugo Park would be appropriate, and we had a lot of community members from the area who did not want to change the character of the park. They didn't think activating that park was the best decision for that community and for that park. And so the majority of the council did agree with the community and said that they did not want to see a soccer field at Verdugo Park.
Did we replace that? Do we have another location to put a soccer field?
Right now, based on the plan that was approved, Council directed staff to look at 2 soccer fields, one at a partnership with GUSD, one at Wilson Middle School, and one at Columbus Elementary School. So as part of the development impact fee strategic plan, there are still 2 soccer fields that would be funded and part of the plan.
So is it that we don't need, the area doesn't need any soccer fields? Is that the reason?
President Wu, Commissioner Kalfayan, it's not that the area doesn't need a soccer field. I think everybody agreed that there is high demand and need for a soccer field. It's just for Verdugo Park, I think they all thought that, or majority of council thought that it would be best to keep the park as is and not change the character of the park and activate it. Because with a soccer field, you'd have to fence it up and lighting, and that would bring in a lot more people. It would have to be programmed. And so, especially with community opposition, they thought that that specific park was not the best location to consider for a soccer field.
The community or the neighborhood was concerned about the noise, or the kids playing soccer will be noisy.
Yes, the community did show concern and did not want a soccer field at that park.
President Wu, if I may, there are certain parks or certain parts of existing parks that are considered passive use, where not every square foot of a park has to be activated with equipment or amenities or baseball play or soccer play. And at Verdugo Park, we had proposed the idea of converting an existing baseball field to a soccer field. The existing baseball field does not get nearly the use that a soccer field would be. So the community was accustomed to the level of use that was already there. So a soccer field would have significantly changed the character of the park. And I think that was the biggest question that the committee had. And we're flooded with not only emails, but members of the committee that attended the council meeting. And we are proposing other new park amenities at Verdugo Park. And so maybe in combination with that, the sense was, well, maybe it's too much at one park at one time. And since we had two other alternatives for new soccer fields through a partnership with the school district, that we focus on those. And then what we do at Verdugo Park is focus on the proposal for a new community building and a new all-inclusive playground, which is what the City Council did approve for Verdugo Park. And even with that, there were questions, but the council decided that it was in favor of the community building and the playground, but maybe not the soccer field. In addition, we talked about, we reported that as part of the Fremont Park master plan, there is an artificial turf soccer field planned for that project. And one of the things that I will talk about later, and that is in your CIP report, is the status of Fremont Park. We are going to need to develop a phasing plan because we don't have all the funding we need for Fremont Park. And the first phase will definitely include the development of the artificial turf soccer field. In addition to that, we are in discussions, and again, we talked about this at the council meeting as well, with St. Francis High School, who is in discussions with the city of Glendale for a long-term, a 10-year license agreement for them to be able to use Field 1 at the sports complex, which is the baseball field that's furthest north, as their home field for 10 years. In exchange, they are proposing to convert that baseball diamond to an artificial turf baseball diamond. And that will allow the city during the non-baseball season to make use of that field and to rent that field out or to lend that field out for soccer play, which we're currently not able to do at the sports complex. So given all of that was part of the thinking and thought process as the council determined to approve the strategic plan. But that's not to say that there does not continue to be a high demand for soccer. I think that was recognized. And we were directed to continue looking for other opportunities for adding soccer fields.
How about around Glendale College? Do we have something that we can convert it to soccer field?
At Glendale College, or
around there or at Glendale College?
President Wu, Commissioner Kalfayan, it's something we'll have to look at as the strategic plan was approved on March 29th, so we're kind of decompressing and processing all the direction that we received. What we have to do now is to program the funds, and there are a couple of projects that we can implement right away, but other projects that will require some more analysis and planning. And so as we do more of that analysis and planning, we can look at maybe partnering with not only the school district, but maybe talking to the college about any property that they might have, or they might be interested in partnering with us to add a soccer field. So I wouldn't rule that out. But
I'm not understanding the contrast. There is a demand for a soccer field. They're accepting that, and yet the community is rejecting soccer fields. Same area.
Well, again, part of the plan is to develop 2 new soccer fields in partnership with the school district. Part of the plan was to add a new soccer field as part of Fremont Park, and to continue to pursue adding another soccer field, combination soccer field, baseball field at the sports complex. So by virtue of that, we will be adding soccer fields.
How much in demand do we have baseball fields in Glendale?
I'll defer to Mr. Bulanikian.
President Wu, Commissioner Kalfayan, the baseball fields are used on a nightly basis. During the Little League season, Little Leagues use it between January all the way through July. Every night we have our adult softball leagues, and our soccer groups use the outer field of the fields during soccer season. So our baseball fields get a lot of use.
We have enough baseball fields in this community?
As of now, we have enough baseball fields, yes.
Anything else? I have a quick question, Director Duran. So, speaking of the potential contract that we might be entering into with St. Francis, is once the verbiage of the contract is presented, would it be coming to our commission where we get an opportunity to kind of have some input in it, or is that going to be going directly to City Council?
No, absolutely. We'll have to come back and make a report to the commission.
When do you foresee that being the case?
President Wu, probably in a couple of months. The draft license agreement is currently in the city attorney's office being reviewed by the city attorney.
So it definitely won't be in time for this baseball season. It will be in time for 2017 at the earliest.
Correct. 2017, which will be, they'll start their season in late February 2017. So that's our goal.
And then you said that the term of that license agreement will be running about 10 years. And so the city will be benefiting to getting that particular field artificial turf. Mm-hmm. And when it's not being utilized by the St. Francis baseball team, will allow the city to go and rent those out as potential soccer fields.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So, I would love to see exactly the terms of that agreement, so just to see how much benefit it's going to bring to the city and the residents, and especially to the soccer community, because I think that it is a dire necessity. And if we have an opportunity where we could add to that and at minimal or no cost to the city, I think that's a win-win.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
In the acquisition, the report says that any new revenues will be appropriated towards acquisition. Do you have any idea of what that budget might be if you were to try and forecast into the future? I know this commission had shown an interest in acquiring new park property, and I just wanted to see if there was anything you could add in that regard.
President Wu, Commissioners, we anticipate that once the $16 million is all programmed, that we will continue to receive between $1 to $2 million per year. And so those new funds will accumulate, hopefully to the point and not too far into the future to be able to seriously take a look at acquiring property. So on that basis, maybe or $5 million within the next 2 years to begin to look at acquiring property. Yeah, that's.
I thought we agreed on having reserve funds to acquire new properties if when they're available.
One of the differences between the final plan that was approved by City Council and I believe the last plan that this commission saw was the first plan we developed included one soccer field, one artificial turf soccer field project in partnership with the school district. The feedback and the direction we got from the City Council, and our thinking was it will either be Columbus or it will be Wilson, but we weren't necessarily planning on trying to do both. But the feedback that we began to get from the City Council was let's go ahead and try to do both projects and add 2 soccer fields and not just one. So the money that we thought we might have available for acquisition of property now went towards the second soccer field in partnership with the school district. So I think that's the difference from the last plan that you saw.
We have the money, right? We're not spending all the $16 million with this project that you presented. And where is the money going to come if they approve the plan of the over the freeway, the park over the freeway? What kind of funds we're looking for?
That in all likelihood will have to be special grant funds from the federal government or the state or both. But as of now, that is not factored into for any use for the DIF funds. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Next item, 7C, Spar Heights Community Center Annual Report.
Good afternoon, President Wu, Commissioners, and staff. I'm Maggie Kavarian, Community Services Supervisor with the Spar Heights Community Center. I'm going to be presenting the annual report for fiscal year 2014-2015. Spar Heights is located at 1613 Glencoe Way up in North Glendale, serving the North Glendale and Montrose Verdugo City population. We offer drop-in programs such as Tai Chi and senior fitness 3 days a week. We also offer specialty fitness to developmentally disabled adults, as well as yoga classes 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Our senior nutrition program has lots of different events and offerings. Here are some pictures of our events. We get between 40 and 60 seniors a day, 5 days a week at Spar Heights Community Center for lunch between 11:30 and 1 o'clock. This is our recent one. We also offer drop-in activities such as senior chat group on Tuesdays. We have a sitting and knitting class. We have a wood carvers group that comes in on Thursday mornings. We also offer bingo on Wednesdays. It's a very popular drop-in activity. We get about 60 seniors every Wednesday playing bingo. We also have our bridge group. Here are some of our bridge players, and they come in 2 times a week. We have backgammon players, and we have just incorporated a new class, Mahjong, which is very popular on Thursdays between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Our billiards players come in and drop in 5 days a week. When the seniors go home, the kids come out. When they leave school, they come from our Fremont Elementary School is across the street from Spar Heights Community Center. So we incorporated a new program called After School Club, and we have about 20 to 25 kids that come in around 3 o'clock, and they stay until their parents come and pick them up. So that program is underway on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 3 to 6. When GUSD is out and we have our day camp programs, we have them during the winter, spring, and summer. 9 weeks in summer. Highly popular program. We had a cap of 140 kids this past year. Lots of activities, outdoor water play. Lots of different outings within the community. They went to the fire department on Honolulu. Our spring camp and winter camp is equally as popular. We have about 30 kids that attend the spring camp and up to 70 kids that participate in the winter camp program, which is two weeks. When the center is not in use, it's actually in use by community groups. We offer lots of different presentations. We have Glendale Police Department that does their neighborhood watch meetings there. We do tax prep in the past, and we've had groups come in and assist seniors and the public. Other events we had was City Council in your neighborhood. We just had that event last year. We had our City Council forum, and we always serve as a voting place. Lots of community involvement with our seniors and our participants over at Spar Heights Community Center. Mr. Bulanikian likes this one. This is the Glendale Cruise Night. They help to bag, I think, 300 or 400 goodie bags for our car registrants, participants. We've also participated in the city's tree lighting ceremony. Our seniors will decorate every year the boxes and put them out at City Hall. On weekends and on evenings, we're open for rental opportunities. So we have our Verdugo room, we have our south patio, we've got our garden room, and our north patio available for rentals. And that ends my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
How large is your, I never been there, excuse me not being there, but how large is your facility?
The facility is about 5,000 square feet in size.
And the rooms that you showed us the last picture, like each room is, how many guests do we accommodate?
Mm-hmm. Want to go back? The Verdugo room, which is the larger room with the stage, can hold up to 100 people quite comfortably. So we have a lot of parties, and so the upper left-hand corner, that room is the Verdugo room. It could hold about 100 people. The south patio on the upper right-hand corner can hold about 50 people for an outdoor event like baby showers or bridal showers. The lower left-hand corner is the garden room where we have meetings and whatnot, and that can hold about 50 people quite comfortably. And any other questions?
You don't have any exercise rooms?
We do. The garden room actually is the exercise room. So the lower right-hand corner, that doubles as our Tai Chi, our yoga classes, our specialty fitness, as well as different types of activities.
No
we
weight
offer there.
Equipment. We don't have any weight.
We don't have weight equipment, no.
And
We don't actually have a designated area for a gym.
How many staff members do you have?
We have about 3 staff members during the daytime. We have rec leaders that work with the after-school club children, and then we have facility attendants that help out during the day, as well as our meal coordinators that help out for the senior meal program.
Your after-school program, do we offer tutoring or any kind of, if they're hungry, get them anything to eat, or how does it work?
We actually, funny you should ask, whenever we have leftovers with the senior nutrition program, we tend to save it because we know that the kids will probably end up wanting to eat that. So we offer bread, cheese, drinks like juice, we have milk after school, so we always tend to give that out to the kids.
Thank you. Very good.
Anything else, Commissioners? The Fremont's after-school program, is that only for the Fremont students, or is that open to anybody that...
It's actually at Spar Heights. It's open to every child that would like to walk in. It's a generalized supervision program. So basically, the kids walk over from Fremont Elementary School, and we encourage parents to allow kids who can walk over, not so much children who are very young, such as 5 or 6, because it's so general that we can't offer kind of that one-on-one babysitting that they would prefer. So our kids tend to be 8 to 12 years old.
Okay, so we have supervision for those number of kids, be it that's 20 or 30, and would you say there's adequate supervision?
It's definitely adequate because our recreation leaders are the same people who take care of the kids during the summer and winter day camps, who really offer that one-on-one with the kids. So they are very much trained in that sort of activity and with the kids.
Okay. So that's a free service that we offer?
It's a free drop-in service.
Right. So are the kids held in a particular room throughout the duration of their stay, or are they kind of...
No, not necessarily. We encourage them to come in and hang out in the garden room. We set it up like a classroom-style setting for them so they can do their homework first. So we always encourage homework first, so that's the first hour to an hour and a half. We also have a small lounge area, and in that small lounge area, we offer, there's a mini library, and what the kids do is the kids who finish their homework first can go into the mini library, read a little bit until everyone else is finished, and then they have an opportunity to either go outside and play a little bit or go into the Verdugo room, and we set up Wii games, and we have lots of different activities that we offer. But that's only until homework is done.
So we have someone that actually checks to see that they're...
Our rec leaders actually check that.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is your facility in all good shape? You need anything to be changed?
Well, we are getting our carpets changed in a few weeks. The weekend of May 13th, we're finally going to be getting our carpets changed. It's an older facility, but it's very quaint. It's got a mission-style architecture, so we actually like the fact that it's a hidden gem. You've been there.
I have been there. I'm from the Montrose area, so I'm very familiar with it. I do know that the rentals do seem to be picking up. Do you have any indication as far as the revenues, if they're increasing or decreasing at this point?
We have done very well this year for some reason, as opposed to last year. I'm not really certain why, but maybe it's word of mouth. I know we receive lots and lots of compliments. I know we have a wonderful staff. The team there is amazing, very helpful. They go above and beyond, and I think that really is the true reason why we keep getting these return rentals, not just new rentals, but return rentals and word of mouth.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to visit that facility, and I think the pictures that you showed, it's beautiful. I mean, especially in the patio outdoor area, especially when it's set up. I think it's great. Do we do any marketing for the venue that could potentially get us more business, you think?
I guess we do. I mean, did you want to say something?
President Wu, members of the commission, we did have a marketing committee a few years ago. We're going to bring back that committee within the next couple months, and we're going to have a lead employee that will be in charge of marketing all of our departmental facilities, programs, events that we have. With that being said, we're going to actively market all of our facilities, including Spar Heights, Civic Auditorium, Pacific, Maple, and ARC, to increase our revenue. One of our strategic goals the last couple of years, and again for next year, is to maintain and increase facility revenue, and we're on track with maintaining and increasing our facility revenue. And I know Spar Heights, basically just how Maggie said, it's by word of mouth. We have a lot of parents that use the facility for their birthday parties and so on, and hopefully once when we get our marketing committee up and running, we will be visiting GUSD open houses, private school open houses, and just market all of our programs and all of the facilities that we have to offer.
That'd be great. Great.
Are you in negative or positive in your operation?
We're in the positive.
That's good.
Seems like Commissioner Kufine's in the mood of giving, so should we have him write a check payable to the City of Glendale?
The difference, yeah.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thank you. Thank you.
7D section activity reports at 1 is workforce development.
Hello, good afternoon, President Wu and members of the Commission. My name is Judith Velasco, and I'm the Workforce Administrator. I'm pleased to report on certain activities that we have going on at our section. We are completely grant funded, so one of our priorities is to actively seek out grant solicitations from various sources, usually from the Department of Labor and also from the State of California Employment Development Department. We have about at least 8 solicitations that we're either writing or waiting to see what the outcomes are. We focus on different items in these solicitations, usually serving individuals with different barriers to employment, either youth with barriers or people who are unemployed or veterans, people with disabilities, as well as thinking of innovative entry-level careers that individuals can be exposed to. We actually submitted a $2.7 million grant to the U.S. Department of Labor to help with the reduction of H-1B visas, to see how we can build the technology workforce from the ground up. So we are partnering with various agencies, employers, as well as local community organizations to always maintain and sustain grant opportunities for the Verdugo region. Additionally, we have a new workforce legislation called the Workforce Opportunity and Innovation Act that was passed in 2014 under President Obama. This act is completely new. We haven't seen a new workforce legislation, I think, in over 10 years. So there's a lot of elements that we need to, as a section, comply with, regulations that we need to comply with. We just recently submitted what's called a recertification application to the state to continue to operate the Verdugo Job Center and to continue to operate as a board. We're in the process of increasing our board membership under the new workforce legislation. We have a board of about 33 members. Over 51% have to be from the business community. This legislation is particularly focused on business member engagement in order for us, the workforce section, to understand the needs of the employers as it relates to a skilled workforce. So those are the top priorities we're working on, as well as other items such as updating our bylaws and the Joint Powers Agreement. We are currently part of a Joint Powers Agreement with the City of Glendale, Burbank, and La Cañada Flint Ridge. The City of Glendale serves as the administrative entity, and this is based on the workforce law that requires any local area to develop to have these agreements in place. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have specifically about the workforce section.
Thank you. Any questions or any comments from the Commission? I have one quick question.
Sure.
Do we happen to know what the city unemployment rate is by any chance?
You know, I don't have that with me, but I can make sure that we send that to you.
Okay. And through the workforce department, do we give preferential or priority to Glendale residents versus, and how, if I'm an outside of Glendale, then do I have any way of going through this service, or is it just limited to Glendale residents?
Sure, those are great questions. Because we're federally funded, our services are open to the general public. So anybody who is actually has what we call right-to-work documents, Social Security card, driver's license, passport, and they have the right to work, they can access our services. However, we do give priority of services if you are a Glendale resident, Burbank resident, or La Cañada Flint Ridge resident. We also further give priority of service to people with barriers to employment, such as veteran, people with disabilities, low income, people who are limited English. So we do have those policies in place.
So how many applicants or how many job-seeking people would you say you currently have in your queue or in your database?
You know, it varies, and I'm happy to share more specific data on what services we provide. On average, I would say each month we see anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 individuals at our center. And the reason the number is so high is because we're co-located with the Employment Development Department that is known providing service related to unemployment insurance. So I would say one of the number one questions we receive is from individuals is, helping them explain their unemployment insurance benefits. It's a very complex system, so we have state employees there to facilitate. The building, which we're located at 1255 South Central, used to be, a long time ago, the unemployment insurance building, when individuals used to be able to come in to a brick and mortar and apply for unemployment insurance. So that's one of the reasons we still have a lot of foot traffic, because people still associate us with the unemployment insurance office. Yes, but on average, we enroll over 1,000 individuals in our programs and provide intensive services, and provide over 500 individuals with training opportunities to upgrade their skills in different fields: entertainment, technology, healthcare. So we offer a wide array of services, and we can provide that data to the Commission.
Got it. So your hours are, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So your hours are Monday through Friday?
Yes, our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we have a free, what we call a resource area, which we have about 26 computers, fax, copiers, job leads that the public can come and access at any time. And these services are at no cost to both people looking for work and also for employers looking for qualified individuals for their positions.
Do you offer services in any other language besides English?
We do. We have staff that speak Armenian, staff who speak Spanish. So we have started to provide workshops in those languages, just because we noticed the demand, and also part of the new federal workforce legislation is to provide additional services to the limited English population.
Thank you. Mr. Duran?
Yes, Judith, what's the number of duplicated persons that visit the job center monthly or annually?
I would say duplicated services is around, for monthly, around 3,000, but I can get the specific figures. Okay. We just moved to a new state system called CalJobs, so the data is tracked a little bit differently, so I don't want to just give you an estimate. I want to give you as exact number as I can.
Okay. So every month, about 3,000 persons will visit the job center, and then annually of that amount, we will enroll about 1,000 into our programs and services. And so that's the number that we serve.
Yes.
So a lot of them just come in and take advantage of the self-help services, with some technical assistance by staff. And then those that need more or are more ambitious and qualify for different programs and services will be further assessed and case managed and enrolled into job training programs.
That's correct. Not everybody wants to be enrolled in our program. We are federally funded, so it's paper intensive. But even though they're not enrolled, they can still access our free computers, our job leads. We have on-site business recruitments. Right now, Walmart is opening in Burbank, so we're providing recruitment services for them, and people are coming to our center to submit their applications. So we do provide those services if you're not enrolled, even with our center.
What would you say, like, your success rate is of placing employment
Sure.
for?
Again, I go back, because we're federally funded, we are monitored every quarter by the Department of Labor, also the state of California, so we have to have a high performance measure. Overall, our entered employment rate for those enrolled are around 80%, which is very high. And then we also have to track average earnings and retention, so they're around that percentage as well.
Great. Thank you.
Out of those 1,000 unemployed persons walking to your facility, do they have a skill, or they are coming to be trained?
Sure. I would say it varies. After the recession, we saw an increased number of individuals who had bachelor's degrees and master's degrees access our services, and depending on what field they were in, it determined their need. For instance, people in the technology field, they might have a degree in technology or degree in computer science, but they needed an upgrade in a certification, maybe an upgraded Cisco certification or Oracle certification, so they needed our assistance to pay for that certification. And certifications can range anywhere between $5,000 to $6,500. So if they're unemployed and meet our eligibility criteria, they can qualify for us to assist them with training. We also have individuals who don't have a high school diploma and are looking for work where they can gain a skill. So we try to see what type of interest they have. Right now, we see a huge demand for individuals who are interested in being commercial truck drivers. We had a large number of recruitments for Amazon. They're increasing their delivery, so they need more delivery drivers. So we try as much as possible to get a diverse group of employment opportunities that can fit the diverse clients that we serve.
How do you decide the wages, hourly wages for them, different skills, and who negotiates for them?
We really don't negotiate the wages. We just connect them with the opportunities and facilitate the job interview and facilitate the preparation for them to be a better job candidate. So we do a lot of workshops on customer service, on dress for success, on how the best presentation when you do a job interview. Once they are offered the job, they then proceed to negotiate that with the employer. But that's a great idea. We should offer more workshops on, once you've secured the job, helping somebody negotiate the wages as well as the different benefits associated with that.
Because you get them to a certain level, then you have to tell them this is what your market value is for you.
Yes. We do provide access to labor market information in terms of the average wage for certain careers, so we do provide that information with them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Do you have an estimate on how many people take advantage of the training opportunities you provide?
Yes. It varies depending on if we have any special grants we're awarded. So again, that number can go as high as over 500 per program year. So right now we have various specialized grants that we've applied and we're successful in getting, so we can assist more individuals in training, especially if they were laid off. If there's a layoff in the region we serve, we can then apply for training funds to assist people in those, but it's around 500.
500 annually, or?
Again, it's as an average, yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again.
Great, thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 7D2, Human Services.
President Wu, I'd like to suggest that we go ahead and get a brief presentation on the Human Services section activity report, and then if it's okay with you, maybe skip over Park Services, Trails, and Open Space, and I can give a brief update on our capital improvement projects, and in the interest of time.
I agree.
So, Arsene?
President Wu, members of the Commission, I just wanted to provide a brief update to the Commission on a successful housing placement with the collaboration of Essentia and the Institute for Multicultural Counseling and Education Services Agency. As you know, the Community Services and Parks Department is responsible for the development and the implementation of homeless programs here at the City of Glendale. On an annual basis, we receive about $3 million of funding, and we contract and coordinate with local service agencies. And the success story I'm about to talk about is a prime example of the type of coordination and collaboration it takes to house a homeless client here at the City of Glendale. Mr. Garnik Uvakian had been homeless here for 4 years, chronically homeless. And the City of Glendale had reached out to Mr. Garnik to provide homeless services in collaboration with Essentia. The lead outreach case manager had worked with Garnik for about 3 years, and the last year services fell through. Garnik was very isolated, did not want to work with our homeless programs. Not until he was connected with the Institute for Multicultural Counseling and Education Services, they go by IMCS. They are a nonprofit organization that provides outpatient mental health services along with other different types of social services to different clients here at the City of Glendale. Garnick had been working with his case manager for about 3 years, Ms. Sose Azarian, who was supposed to be here with us today, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. And after 3 years, Garnick was finally ready for housing placement. With the collaboration of Ascencia, Alfred Hernandez, who's the lead outreach case manager, he also couldn't make it today, and the efforts of Ms. Sose Azarian, the case manager at IMCES, we were able to finally place Mr. Ufakian in January of 2016. He is currently successfully housed, and is really looking for a future filled with endless possibilities. He is so excited to be in his new home, and is working with city staff, working with Ascencia staff and IMCES, and we are still providing wraparound services for the client, and both case managers from Ascencia and IMCES will continue their case management and the wraparound services for the client. So I just wanted to provide the Commission with a brief update, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Thank you.
When you say in his case you have a program for them, what kind of program we have for them?
Sure, President Wu, Commissioner Kalfayan. We have different types of social services program ranging from mental health therapy. Clients receive therapy on an ongoing basis. Clients learn to become self-sufficient again. Case managers visit the clients on a weekly basis. For example, teach the clients how to do laundry, teach the clients how to do grocery shopping, basic life skills that some of these clients don't have because they've been isolated from the community for such a long time. We're trying to integrate them back into society by providing some of these basic needs, accompanying them to their doctor's visits. For example, Mr. Garning today, actually, he couldn't be with us because he's over at an adult daycare center. He's very excited about his first day, and he's going to have an opportunity to meet with other people, socialize, interact, and really integrate back into our society and our community. So these are wraparound services that will continue for the duration of as long as possible in order to help Mr. Garnick maintain his permanent housing here at the City of Glendale.
When we house them at Ascencia, what kind of obligations do they have? Do they have to do some kind of side works to help?
President Wu, Commissioner Kalfayan, we don't expect them to do any type of side work. There are no strings attached. All we expect them to do is to work with their case manager, continue with their mental health services or other social services that they're receiving from both agencies, and communicate what their needs are. If there are any needs that are not, their gaps and needs are not met, we just expect them to continue working with their case manager.
How long they can stay there at Ascencia?
They're currently not at Ascencia. He's actually housed, and he could stay in the program for as long as he wants. It is a permanent housing program. It's called the Shelter Plus Care Program. It is funded by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it is a permanent housing program for chronically homeless individuals and families.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next item, please.
Sure. Next would be 76, Administration Capital Improvement Program, CIP update.
Yes, President Wu, members of the Commission, you do have a report as part of your packet, which provides you with an update and a little bit of background information on all of our current active capital improvement projects. Beginning with the Brand Park Wayfinding Sign Project, where we redesigned and installed 41 new wayfinding signs throughout the park. The total project cost was approximately $150,000. This project is being completed this month as we speak. The next project at Brand Park, which we touched on earlier, was the Brand Park Lighting Project. And this involves the removal of 58 existing light standards and the installation of 106 new energy-efficient light poles and fixtures, including new controllers, fuse boxes, and conduits. And This project is planned to begin in May of 2016 and to be completed by September of this year. And this total project cost is $942,000. The example you see on the screen is the lighting that we recently installed at Dunsmore, so it will look very similar to this throughout the park. Then the next graphic shows you the breadth of how far up and around the park these light fixtures will be placed. So it's a pretty big project. The next project we want to highlight is the Dugmagian Barn Nature Educational Center mechanical improvements, which involves heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, or HVAC, new rough plumbing, new rough electrical work, a new concrete floor slab, a new entry door, and accessibility improvements, and completion of this work. Actually, this is where the barn is located. This is what the barn looks like right now, so it's a shell. It doesn't have anything in it. So completion of this project and the mechanical systems will allow the use of the barn for limited special events sponsored by the city. And the next phase of the build-out of the barn, with that, we would be able to open it up for use by the public. And the phase after this will include design and construction of interior improvements and a restroom building, which I will show you in a minute. But the mechanical systems, we expect to begin in June of this year and to be completed in October. And this is a $700,000 construction project with a 10% contingency, so it's a little over $800,000 in total. And again, that will be to add the flooring, the electrical, the plumbing, and the HVAC to this building with the new concrete floor. And then the next phase would involve, as I mentioned, designing and building out interior improvements, including fixtures, furniture, and equipment inside the barn, and construction of a separate restroom building, which is required by the city's building department, in order to complete the Nature Educational Center and to be able to open it up for use by the public. And the timeline for this is to complete design and start construction in September 2017. The estimated cost is $2.038 million. And then this is a floor plan of what that educational center might look like. And the idea is that during the day, it'll be an educational center with displays and stations or modules with videos, boards, and then during the day, the evenings or on weekends, the exhibits and displays could be moved either to the sides of the building against the walls or lifted in order to have more of an auditorium seating style event or for evening receptions. So that's the idea there. The Palmer Park renovations, this project is currently under construction, and it's a complete renovation of the park. So it includes a new irrigation system, new lighting, new police patrol drive path, new or rehabilitated restroom building, new picnic areas with new cooking stations and sinks and barbecues, new site furnishings such as benches and picnic tables and drinking fountains and bike racks, new playgrounds, new walking paths, new outdoor fitness equipment, an expanded basketball court, a new wading pool with a sloped beach access for ADA compatibility, a new skate park area, and a new toddler play area. So it's a complete renovation of the park. It's currently under construction, and it's scheduled to be completed this October. And the estimated construction cost is $2.1 million. And we have Riverwalk Phase 1, which you might all be familiar with. We are getting set to start Riverwalk Phase 2. Riverwalk Phase 2 involves capping an existing storm drainage culvert to allow the connection between Phase 1 and Phase 2. It includes the development of 2 new parks, one that is called the one at Flower Street, which will be called Flower Plaza, and one at the confluence of the Verdugo Wash and the Alley River, which will be called Confluence Park. And it will also involve a number of overlooked platform areas with benches and new trees and landscaping. We hope to start construction on this project in May to be completed in October. A lot of projects scheduled to be completed in October of this year. The estimated cost of Riverwalk Phase 2 is $2.1 million. And again, this is Phase 1, so it will connect to Phase 1. And these are the plans, the site plans for the new park as part of Phase 2. And again, it's a half-mile stretch along the river. And it will end at the confluence of the river and the wash, as I mentioned earlier. So that's as far as we can go in the city limits of Glendale. Then we have Fremont Park renovation, another major project. The estimated construction cost is $10 million. We will be phasing this project. The next step is to assign a new contract with the architect to begin the phasing plan and to begin development of the construction plans and drawings. But again, a complete renovation of the park. We're basically gutting it out and starting new. We'll be adding a new community building, an artificial turf soccer field, a new splash pad, picnic pavilions, picnic tables, benches, water fountains, barbecue grills, 26 new parking spaces, a new drive path, walking paths, tennis shade structures, exercise equipment. We will be renovating and replacing the playgrounds. It'll involve new lighting, new irrigation, adding 2 basketball courts, restroom structure, picnic tables, and new turf. It's at Fremont Park, and this is what the master plan looks like that was approved by the council on December 8th. And the next project I want to highlight is the Civic Auditorium exterior improvements, which involves complete preparation of the exterior of the building, painting the entire building. We will be upgrading 26 existing exterior light fixtures, and we will be adding awnings at the south entrance and relandscaping the south entrance embankment at the parking lot. The timeline for this project, we are scheduled to start construction in July and to be completed by November 2016. The estimated cost for this project is $335,000. And then you might remember this is a color scheme that we have for the auditorium. The next project we have in the planning stage is the Glendale High School tennis courts. It involves rehabilitating 6 existing tennis courts and a joint project between the city and the school district, where during the day the courts are available and used by the school, and in the evenings on the weekends the courts will be used by the public. The timeline for this project is being managed by the school district, and they're combining it with their major aquatic center development project. The timeline is to go out to bid in November and to start construction in March of 2017. The estimated construction cost for just the tennis courts is $800,000. And then this is a graphic showing the relationship between the new aquatic center and where the tennis courts are located. And at Sports Complex, we've talked about the batting cage project. That's a $400,000 project. It was part of the original master plan for the sports complex. We're in the process of drafting a request for proposal for a contract operator, concurrent with developing plans and specifications for the construction of a 6-bay batting cage, including the machines. And then this is the relationship between the proposed area for the batting cages and the existing sports complex. And that ball field to the north of the batting cages is Field 1. That's where the St. Francis artificial turf project is proposed to be developed. And then we have two projects in the planning phase. One is the Upper Shoal ball field concession restroom building renovation, and the second is Glorietta Park lighting and irrigation rehabilitation. Both of these projects are $650,000 projects. They were approved by City Council in last year's budget. And that concludes my presentation, President Wu.
Thank you. I would definitely could say that we have a lot of things going on in the city, and a lot of things towards the end of the year when it comes to be completed. I think we will have a lot of new venues and a lot of things to do. So thank you for that report. Next item, or?
Well, unless, President Wu, unless
Before adjournment?
the commission and staff would like to go back to items 73, 4, or 5, then we can adjourn.
Do we have a motion to adjourn, or do we need a motion? The meeting's so adjourned. Thank you.